Welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful way of looking at life, at suffering, and, what it actually means to be happy. It's a perspective that's probably going to challenge a lot of the things we take for granted. So let's get right into it. And we're going to start with a huge, fundamental question that really gets to the heart of everything. How do you see the people around you? Are they your competitors in some big race of life, or are they your family? Because your answer to that one question changes absolutely everything. So this really breaks it down. On the one hand, you have the modern view, right? The one that tells us we're all separate individuals, constantly competing, and that our success is our own personal victory. But the philosophy we're exploring today paints a completely different picture, that we are all just branches of one single cosmic tree of life, all connected by these invisible roots. And this one idea, this one great tree, well, it's the foundation for literally everything else we're about to explore. Because if you can accept this as a starting point, it completely reframes how you see yourself, your friends, even your enemies, and your place in the universe. So this tree of life isn't just some nice, poetic idea. It's a whole framework for understanding our existence. It suggests that every single person, even someone you consider an adversary, is basically distant kin. And that leads to a pretty powerful conclusion. If you harm another person, you are ultimately harming yourself. You're basically sawing off a branch of the very tree that you're a part of.
Okay, but that raises a pretty big question, right? If we're all fundamentally connected, why do we experience so much pain, so much anxiety on a personal level? Well, according to this perspective, the answer lies in the incredible weight of our attachments.
And here's the diagnosis, laid out as plainly as it gets. Our suffering kicks off with that intense feeling of mine, my career, my reputation, my stuff. This powerful sense of separate ownership is pinpointed as the real root of our unhappiness. And you can see this play out in our everyday lives, can't you? We completely exhaust ourselves trying to have it all, holding on to these desires that totally contradict each other. We want that high-powered city job, but we also crave the simple, slow life in the country. We want massive financial success, but we don't want to make any sacrifices for it. This constant internal tug of war is what just drains us. So if attachment, grabbing onto things, is the problem, then the solution isn't about getting more. It's about mastering the incredibly difficult art of letting go. Let's use a metaphor. Imagine you're on a ship out at sea. It's a beautiful ship, but it's sinking fast. And it's sinking because it is overloaded with cargo. What is the one and only rational thing to do? You know the answer, right? It's simple, and it's kind of brutal. You have to start throwing things overboard. It doesn't matter how valuable that cargo is or how much you love it. To stay afloat, to survive, you have to lighten the load. So what is all this heavy cargo we're carrying around? Well, it's almost never our physical stuff. It's the internal burdens. It's that pride that makes us need to be right all the time. It's clinging to victories from years ago. It's that crushing weight of what we think we should be doing. And of course, it's that heavy, dead anchor of old grudges and resentments. But what about the kind of suffering you can't just throw overboard? Like real grief, the loss of someone you love. Well, this quote introduces a pretty radical idea, that even in the deepest, darkest sorrow, there's a hidden purpose, a light right there at the bottom.
In fact, this philosophy argues that deep sadness, as agonizing as it is, actually offers us two profound benefits. It's not just something to run away from, it's an experience that can fundamentally change and deepen us as human beings.
So what are these two gifts? First, real loss teaches us humility. It just shatters our ego and forces us to accept that we're not in control of everything. And second, it deepens our kindness. Once you've felt that kind of true, heartbreaking pain, you suddenly have the ability to genuinely understand and forgive the pain in other people. It just expands your heart. And all of this leads to what I think is maybe the most empowering part of this whole perspective. We are not just helpless victims of circumstance. We are the architects of our own souls. And the main tool we have to build with is the conscious, focused power of our own thoughts. You've probably heard this idea before, right? It's a truth that echoes through the ages. Your reality isn't shaped by your job or your bank account nearly as much as it's shaped by the thoughts you choose to focus on, day in and day out. What you think about, you become. A great way to think about this is to see your mind as a garden. Something is always going to be growing there.
The only real question is, are you consciously planting seeds of positive intention? Things like, I will serve others, or I will find the good, or are you just letting the weeds of negative thought take over the whole plot? And this totally flips our idea of talent on its head. Real talent isn't some skill you were born with. No, true talent is the disciplined willpower to keep believing in the person you want to become. It's the focused, continuous power of your intention. It's an action, not a gift. Okay, so let's take this powerful idea and apply it to something we all think about, love. How do we use this power of thought to shift from being a consumer of love to a creator of it? You see, this philosophy draws a really sharp line in the sand. There's taking love, which is what most of us think of as love. It's all about receiving, always asking, what can you do for me? The metaphor here is a hospital full of sick patients, each one demanding medicine, but there's no one there to actually give it. The alternative is giving love. It's like a power plant, generating its own energy by focusing on what it can contribute, asking, what can I do for you? All right, so for our final section, we're going to pull all of these threads together. Our connection to each other, the nature of suffering, the power of our minds. It all culminates in one ultimate perspective that reframes our entire reason for being here. And it all builds to this one final, mind-bending conclusion. This world, with all of its beauty and its pain, is not our final destination. Think of it as a temporary assignment, a school, a gym, a training ground, designed for the growth of our souls. And when you really start to see the world this way, it's just incredibly freeing. If you view yourself as a traveler just passing through, then worldly success and failure, they're just lessons, not the final verdict on your life. Your possessions, they're temporary tools, not who you are. And every single challenge becomes an opportunity to get stronger. So I want to leave you with one final question to really chew on. If you could just ignore all the external limits for a second, your age, your job, your past mistakes, and you just listened really closely, what is that seed of aspiration, that vision of the person you truly want to be that is trying to sprout inside you right now?